guys? Matt Lemke here with Your Gamer Goggles. We're at the Palladium Books booth at Gen Con. It's the last 20 minutes. This has actually been quite a trek to do. We're going to talk about a little bit of, well, pretty much everything that they've got going on at the show. The first thing we're going to do is, I was donated some questions. These are from around the internet. These are things that have been bugging some people, and we're going to talk about the Robotech Tactics. Oh good, yeah, it's on.
Well, the last day too, yeah. It's easy to forget stuff.
It's easy to forget stuff. Well, I've actually lost a couple of interviews and had to film them over.
Oh.
They didn't transfer right, so I've got one more to try and do. I don't think it's going to get done. Probably going to try and do that over Skype with Spartan Games.
Oh, yeah.
So RPG, the game is based on the RPG, based off the RPG. Between the show and the RPG, it seems that mecha seem to be much more survivable in the game than they do in the show and in the RPG. Was this done on purpose?
Yeah, very much so. Whenever you adapt one medium into another, you have to consider what your market, what you're trying to get across. So in a role-playing game, you don't want a game where the mecha are really fragile and boom, they're gone in one or two shots. You want to have some level of survivability. So when we did that, we adapted it slightly and modified things to make it work for role-playing.
Yeah, if they weren't survivable, you'd need to spend a lot more money.
Yeah.
So he did you a favor. I played games like that.
Oh, sure, there's games like that, but for what we were trying to do, we wanted things to be a little bit more
survivable.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what were the key issues in Wave 2? Or causing the delay, not issues.
This has been a long convention, right?
Yep.
For a minute ago, I didn't think I would even have a voice. Well, there's been a number of delays, a number of reasons for delays of Wave 2. The biggest being, we really heard people complaining about the number of pieces, and we've been looking into ways to try to reduce the piece count, which is not an easy task. For one thing, using the method that we started with, you really can't reduce piece counts. We talked to different manufacturers. It was kind of funny because we talked to guys who are like, oh sure, we can reduce this. And their idea of reducing it is, we go from 24 pieces to 18 pieces, which, that's good, that's better, but it's still a lot of pieces. So we were looking into different levels and types of manufacturing, different types of materials, without losing any quality, that might work to reduce the piece count significantly. And we think we're onto something, but we don't have it committed yet. We don't know for sure. We need to get quotes. But that's one of the big things we've really been working on.
Well, then there's other silly things too. But,
yeah.
Attendees and exhibitors. The time is 3:30. That means there's only 30 minutes left in the exhibit hall.
See, I wasn't lying.
Yep, 30 minutes left.
So, what or where is the project currently at, and what's the time frame for delivering Wave 2?
Well, for me, I really want to get it out next year. I think it's been long enough. We have to make some kind of decision on the process, whether we stay with the kind of material we have, and there's a lot of pieces, or whether we find something, which we think we do have, that can reduce the pieces significantly. Once we can make that determination, which should be the next month or two or three, we'll start to get things in motion to get Wave 2 into production. And in the meanwhile, we're going to do a lot more stuff with releasing things on drivethrurpg.com, to help show that things are coming. We've got a scenario book that's been written that we need to go over, edit, and kind of beef up a little bit. We've got cards coming. There's all kinds of stuff that will be coming.
And I'm going to add something here real quick too.
Yeah,
From my experience with other Kickstarters and having good relationships with several of the manufacturers of games, one thing you guys don't realize is every time they try and reduce the count point, they need new art, they need to transfer that art into new software, or not new software, but the software that the mold makers make, and to go from different types of molding material, that could be different types of art, which is key to what they're going to end up with the finished product.
Yeah, let me jump in on that. So people have been upset that we haven't been able to show anything. Where's the progress? And the problem is, depending on what manufacturing process we use, it could look completely different from one to the other. And we don't want to show things that we may not use because it might upset people or might get people really excited about, oh yeah, go that route. And then we decide we can't for one reason or another, whether it's cost, whether it's the people can't deliver in a timely fashion, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a problem. And then I think people don't understand along those lines, like with Wave 1, a bunch of the big delays, and I've had this conversation I think with you on the side and with some other people here, actual backers here, is when I made my famous statement of the game's 98% done, with my limited experience, I thought it was. And what we didn't realize, and what I don't think Ninja Division realized, because they had never used the process that we ended up using, was that you could not take the 3D models and just translate them like I thought you could into the mold. I'm used to the traditional resin metal type process, and in my naivety I'm thinking, well, all the molds are done, 98% of it, the rule book, 98% of everything's done. You send them into into China, they make the molds, boom, they're out. No, instead they have to completely re-engineer and completely retool the things. So we were basically, much to our surprise, basically back at square one, where the Chinese would use the 3D sculpts as like a starting place to look at and as a reference, and would have to completely redo it. And so what that means is we would get a render back and they would say, this is it, please for your approval. And we'd look at it and go, all right, the basic shape and stuff is there, but there's like 10, 15 things that need to be changed. And the problem is you send it in, you say make these changes, you wait 2, 3, 4 weeks, they come back, maybe 5 or 8 of those changes are made, 3 of them are incorrect. They changed a couple other things that shouldn't have been changed now because it made it easier to mold. And this process goes back and forth. And it's not just us. I just got done talking to another game company, Robert at Heavy Gear, and he was lamenting how they sent their figure in for engineering into a mold in December, and it went back and forth, back and forth. They didn't get a final acceptable mold until May.
Right.
And that's a common thing that I don't think people realize. And with the vast number of pieces that we have in Wave 1 and Wave 2, if we go that route, it takes a long time. Now, we have most of the Wave 2 models for the process we used of 1 million pieces mostly done and ready to go, but we're trying to reduce the piece count because that's been a significant issue for so many people.
Knuckle up, people. For those of you that play war games, knuckle up. Go look at the Drake for Heavy Gear. No instructions. 182 pieces.
Holy crap. Wow. Wow.
The instructions are a photo of the front.
Wow.
For the Drake. I'm not joking. It makes 3 models, in fairness, but still, it's a lot of pieces.
Yeah, it's a lot of pieces.
Wah. But in fairness, I understand a lot of people that got into Robotech aren't hobby gamers. So
exactly.
I can understand that.
But even a lot of guys who are experienced war gamers have complained to us about the pieces and have expressed how they would prefer if there were fewer.
I can understand fewer, but
I can too.
It is what it is. You got to make the best of that situation.
Yep.
I mean, I remember making a phone call about 1.5 years ago to find a piece. And they were like, "Oh, it's right here on the sprue." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, really? Oh my gosh!" So it is a little, it is tough, and it is intimidating if you're new to gaming.
Well, and I understand that, as I've said, which I've been jumped on sometimes, but I can understand that very well because I am new to the war game and the miniature thing. My thing's been role-playing forever, and while I'm into game design and I enjoy board games and things, I I'm not a guy who builds and paints miniatures. So I look at our own stuff and I go, holy Moses, this would be difficult for me and people with my level of experience.
Yes.
So I understand completely what the problem is, which is why we've been spending so much time trying to reduce the piece count dramatically.
And the next question, oh, and by the way, the people who did ask these questions, I will somehow, some way give them the credit or just list everybody's names, because it seemed important to the people who sent them to me. And I didn't print them out. Sorry, guys. So, the next one is about something that's actually, you already posted these, right? The paper miniatures?
Yes, we posted the paper minis last week.
So, for those of you that didn't know about it,
the Wave 2 paper miniatures.
They're up.
Yep. And that'll be followed by a lot more material.
And I'll make a banner on my website too, so that you guys have another place to access and find them. Simply, all you're going to have to do is go and click. They're on drive-thru, right?
Yes, drivethrurpg.com.
How is BP? Yeah, British Petroleum. I am so dyslexic. How is Palladium Books planning to engage with backers to rebuild trust with the gaming community?
Well, I think the only real way to rebuild the trust is to produce the product and provide the things that we have talked about and promised, and we're going to do our darndest to do that. We're also going to try to communicate more, and we're going to try to get a lot more support material out very soon.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, right now I think it's proof is in the pudding, so we need to just get our shit together and get that stuff out.
And this last question you kind of already answered, but we're going to ask it because I'm sure people want to hear it. So it's, what is the reasoning for keeping details for Wave 2 efforts a secret since it is being worked on?
Well, yeah, I sort of did, but
yeah.
to kind of clarify maybe, because we're looking into different manufacturing processes, different manufacturers, and even different materials, we don't want to talk about it until we have something firm. Again, because we don't want people to be upset if they don't like that idea, and we may, ultimately not even go with it. We don't want people to get excited if it's something they love, and we may not go with that. We want to wait until we have something solid, and we've been talking to a lot of different manufacturers about a lot of different things, and until we have something solid, and another reason to not talk about details and name manufacturers is, we need to keep a good relationship with these guys, and we don't want them, if we don't go with someone, we don't want people to say, oh, there must have been a problem with these guys, because there probably wasn't. There was just, we decided to do something better or different, and that's really all there is to it. There's really no secrecy. We're just trying to nail things down, and until we do, we don't feel comfortable talking about what we've been going through and what we're trying to do exactly.
It's always a bad idea to talk about what might be rather than what will be.
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And we don't want, if we name some manufacturer, we don't want, 300 fans emailing them saying, well, what are you doing with Robotech, or what are you doing with this, if they're not the guys who are going to do it.
Exactly. So, with that said, let's move to other games.
Okay.
Well, actually, grab a deck real quick. They just produced.
It's been a long 4 days, folks.
Riff's. Yeah, it has. Riff's playing card decks, which the art is phenomenal. You have a black and white and a color version. All the faces have great art by all the different Riffs artists. It's really stellar and amazing. I don't know how much they cost, but they're beautiful.
They're $11.99, and yeah, it's something we were planning on doing for a number of years, and then only to do a full-size deck through a conventional
it's a lot of money.
Producer. Yeah, it's a lot of money, exactly. And you have to do a large press run. And we don't know exactly how popular these kind of things will be. So we were putting it aside. And last year at Gen Con, we were talking to the drive-thru RPG people. And they said, hey, we have the capability of doing...
Oh, really? This is done through drive-thru?
Yeah, this is done through drive-thru. And in fact, the tuck boxes is something that's new for them. They just really instituted, my impression is just like in the last month or two. And which is really cool. Yeah. So we made these through drive-thru, And if the demand is huge, we can go and do bigger press runs. But right now, it's great. We can do relatively small press runs. We'll also be making them available on drive-through, so you can purchase them directly from them or directly from our website, palladiumbooks.com. And they're pretty awesome. And for those of you who are Savage Worlds fans, Rift Savage World, it was a very successful Kickstarter by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. They use cards, poker cards, as part of their game mechanic to determine initiative and some other rulesy type things. And these can work as what they call action decks. So yeah, they're here and people have been loving them. They've been selling like crazy.
I didn't even, you sold quite a bit. Oh, we'll back up to Robotech, just so you guys know. It was pretty hot at the show. Well, I guess it depends on how you define hot.
No, there was a lot of excitement about it.
There was, and they sold through about 40 copies of the two-player starters, so clearly it's not dead for all you naysayers.
Oh no, in fact, there seems to be quite a bit of excitement.
Where's the, hey Tom, hand me the book real quick.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Of course.
We have, Tom has been how long have you been working on this?
7 years. long before Palladium.
So,
well, but this he's been working on for about 6 months.
Yeah. So Tom has.
I'm sorry, this over a year and a half.
Tom has made a scenario booklet that they're going to be publishing in the near future.
Right.
Different scenarios for Robotech, and it follows Macro Saga, right?
Yes.
Three scenarios for the first 18 episodes.
If you didn't hear that, it's 3 scenarios for the first 18 episodes.
And more will follow. So, I mean, we have been doing stuff. We just didn't really want to talk about things until we knew they would come through. And,
well, that actually generated a lot of excitement while I was around the booth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Okay, so we did that. Palladium. What's new on the Palladium fantasy side?
Well, all kinds of things are going on. Our big focus is going to be Robotech RPG Tactics.
Until it's done, yeah, I understand that.
So we're going to be working on that a lot. Prior to that, earlier this year, we were really working towards getting a bunch of books in the pipeline so we can get them out while we're working on Robotech. Because, we got a company and a big fan base. We can't just focus on one thing at a time. It's always a juggling act. So we got several Rifts books in the pipeline. Heroes of Humanity came out a month or 2 ago.
And it's right there.
And
I read a little bit of this while I was at the show. Some of the fluff is phenomenal.
Thank you. It is.
There's what can lead into the Suicide Squad, in my opinion, in the back of the book.
And that's kind of coming in the Disavowed.
Right.
And both Heroes of Humanity and the Disavowed, which is coming out later this year, are setting up something really, really huge in the Rift setting for next year. So that's going to be pretty epic. And then...
so we got Gen Con attendees, the time is now 3:45. The exhibit hall will close in 15 minutes.
So we have, I lost track where I was.
Disavowed, something big in Rifts.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff happening with Rifts. Plus we want to do things that support the rest of our line. Something else that we're not doing directly, and this is the first public announcement of it. So you got the scoop. Carmen Belair, who is a long-time...
if you don't know Carmen, you should.
Freelance writer of mine. He's done several things for Heroes Unlimited and Rifts and other Palladium publications. He's the creator of Splicers. Carmen has wanted to start his own company for a long time. He's a game design whiz. He's been designing games for Upper Deck and some other companies. He is going to be producing through his own company under license with Palladium. His company is called Rogue Heroes. They're coming off a Rifts board game, and the miniatures, he knows this great sculptor in England. The miniatures for this game are phenomenal, and the game is fast and fun. He plans on kickstarting it sometime either later this year or probably early next year, and it's going to be kick-ass. And because he's backed a gazillion Kickstarters and he's seen what we've gone through, his plan is to have the whole game actually physically done and ready to go. So once he's got the Kickstarter money, it's simply a matter of sending it into the manufacturer, and hopefully 4 months later, boom,
bam,
it's in the stores, it's in the backers' hands.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and these things look phenomenal. Have you seen any of it?
No.
Oh man, if Carmen comes back, I'll have to have you see some of the digital scopes.
Oh yeah, he was going to show me, and he didn't. His iPad was dead.
Oh, so maybe you won't see him.
Well, that was 2 days ago.
So those are some of the big things. We got some big ideas for Heroes Unlimited as well, and we want to support splicers.
Splice?
Off the top of my head, that's.
Well, there's Palladium Open House next year, right?
No, I'm sorry to say no. Certainly not next year.
Shame on you.
You never know. Maybe the following year.
Shame on you. That's shame on you.
People love the open house. It's like a big family get together, and 300-400 people from around the world. It's pretty awesome. But it's a ton of work, and it takes a lot of time away from projects. So can't do it next year of everything we have planned. But maybe the following
You can
year.
hire me to run it.
There you go. That's a good idea.
I'll work cheap too. I'll organize that whole thing. I know how to use Excel. That's all I need. And my wife. She works cheaper.
Yeah, I don't think she would appreciate that.
No, she actually is the breadwinner. By far. She easily doubles my income.
So how about you? You have a good convention?
Pretty good.
Did you get like, what, 100 interviews done or something like that?
About half that.
About 50? That's still impressive. 4 days.
Somewhere between 35 and 40 is probably where I'm sitting.
I think that's pretty impressive.
Yesterday I had about 6 hours of recorded footage.
Wow. Nice.
And some of the interviews are really good. The interview I had with James Sutter, he's like, I don't say this very often, but that was an awesome interview.
Cool.
And I'm like, yes. And for those of you who don't know who James is, he's the fiction editor and the future Starfinder. I think his title is actually like rules director for Starfinder within the Pathfinder universe. So
nice.
He's doing double duty there, but for somebody like that to say it's a great interview, I'm happy. I had a real good time with Spartan Games in talking about Halo.
Yeah, well, they're good people, Spartan Games.
Yeah, they are. They are. Are you going? You're going to Adepticon next year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see you there then.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been very busy. Even with carrying a gallon of water on my back, I've been dehydrated every day.
Yeah, sure.
So drink, people.
And not booze.
Yeah.
Well, not while you're wandering convention.
I do that too, but only one night at the show. I limit myself. I've lost like 20 pounds this year, so. Anyway, thank you, Kevin.
Always
a pleasure.
man.
It is.
Thank
it
you.
is. And see you guys later.